Bonuses are canceled. That's what she said. Right there, in the middle of our victory celebration, we were still passing around cold pizza and warm sodas from the break room. Everybody riding high because we just crushed our Q3 targets by 195%. Not 20%, not even 50%, 195%. You'd think we'd cured cancer with molten steel the way our production floor was buzzing. My name is Lucas Thompson. I'm 55 and I've been Director of Steel Operations here at Apex Steel Solutions for 18 years. Started as a junior metallurgy analyst right after my Marine stint. Worked my way up the old-fashioned way, earning every promotion on the factory floor before moving to the office. This company's been part of Pittsburgh's steel backbone since the 1970s, back when this city meant something in American manufacturing. My throat was raw from back-to-back calls closing that General Motors automotive parts contract. My inbox was a battlefield of signed purchase orders and approved spec changes. Even Garrett from IT was smiling, and Garrett hasn't smiled since his divorce back in 2019. Then in strolls Victoria Walsh, blazer pressed tighter than her quarterly projections. Hair so perfectly styled it probably had its own maintenance contract. No hello, no congratulations. Just that smug lean she does when she's about to drop something monumentally stupid on us working folks. She claps once, slow and deliberate. Let's gather up, she chirps like she's calling a kindergarten class. Need 5 minutes. The room went dead. I felt it in my gut. That sinking feeling you get right before someone says we're pivoting or there's been a restructuring. The same feeling I used to get in the Corps when the radio crackled with bad news from command. She stood there with dead eyes and that fake humility they teach you in business school. You guys crushed it. Really, you absolutely crushed it. Beat every metric. Exceeded every expectation. That's exactly why we're canceling Q3 bonuses. The room died completely. Ashley from marketing dropped her pizza slice. Mason from finance looked like someone had just told him his calculator was broken. Victoria did that thing where she tries to look philosophical, like she's delivering wisdom straight from some Harvard case study about disruptive leadership paradigms. We're raising the bar, she continued, hands clasped behind her back like she was Napoleon reviewing troops. This isn't about incentives anymore. This is about cultural excellence. You already proved you can hit these numbers, so now we know what you're capable of. Time to try harder. People didn't move, didn't breathe. Ashley blinked, like she'd forgotten how. Ryan from middle management opened and closed his mouth 3 times like a fish, trying to form words that wouldn't get him fired. Adrian, my operations manager for 8 years, just stared at his hands. I didn't say a word, not yet. Just watched her standing there with that little shark smile like she'd just outsmarted a room full of people who'd been running steel operations since before she learned to tie her designer heels. Her shoes probably cost more than our quarterly safety equipment budget, and she wore them like they gave her the authority to rewrite 18 years of proven systems. I sipped my coffee, burned my tongue, didn't care. The bitter taste matched my mood perfectly. Then I smiled, not wide, just once. The kind of smile you give when the wheels have been turning for weeks and someone just handed you the last piece you needed to spring the trap. Our target was $1.8 million in production efficiency gains for Q3. We hit $3.5 million. That's not just beating expectations. That's obliterating them and building a monument on the ruins. The GM contract alone was worth $2.8 million in annual recurring revenue, and Victoria knew it. Hell, she'd been copying my weekly progress reports and forwarding them to the board with her name in the signature line. I stood up slowly, walked over to where she was basking in her own perceived brilliance, and leaned in like I was going to offer some polite pushback about team morale and compensation equity. Instead, I just said, "Conference room, 5 minutes." She blinked, confused, like someone had just asked her to explain how a blast furnace actually works. "Bring your laptop," I added. Already walking away, behind me, the room stayed silent, except for the distinct sound of her ego inflating like a birthday balloon. I didn't need to yell, didn't need to get angry, not yet. Because this wasn't really about bonuses. This was about legacy, institutional knowledge, and the fact that Victoria, poor, sweet, nepotism-soaked Victoria Walsh, had no idea what was waiting for her behind that glass conference room door. You see, 18 years ago, when I signed my steel operations agreement, there was a clause buried in the legal appendix. A clause that most people would skip over thinking it was just standard boilerplate language. But I read everything. Marines taught me that. Always read the fine print, especially when your signature's going on it. The clause was simple. If quarterly production efficiency metrics exceeded 175% of forecast under my direct operational leadership, I'd be granted immediate strategic override privileges. At the time, nobody thought those numbers were possible. It was like putting a clause in there about what to do if we discovered gold in the parking lot. But we just hit 195%. And Victoria Walsh was about to learn what happens when you mess with someone who spent 18 years building something real, something that actually works, something that makes money, instead of just burning it on consultant fees and motivational posters. 6 months earlier, Victoria Walsh had arrived like a champagne cork at a funeral, loud, unnecessary, and bound to make a mess of everything nearby. The founder, Spencer Walsh, had just announced he was taking a step back from day-to-day operations. Nothing too serious, he said over a Zoom call while noticeably using a portable oxygen tank in the background. Just some stress-related health issues needed to focus on recovery for a few months. Then came the kicker that should have set off alarm bells for everyone in that meeting. I'm having my niece Victoria shadow senior leadership while I'm out, just to observe. Learn the ropes, understand how we operate. Observe, learn the ropes, right? That was supposed to be the plan. But Victoria walked through our lobby that Monday morning like she'd just bought the building, fresh off her Harvard MBA, which she managed to name drop roughly every 6 minutes, usually while misquoting Sun Tzu or referencing case studies about blockchain-enhanced steel production and cryptocurrency foundries. I'm not making that up. Those were actual examples she used in meetings. Her first words to me delivered while I was reviewing production schedules at 7:30 a.m. So, you're the one still using Excel instead of AI-driven predictive analytics? Cute. She said it with that condescending smile you see in LinkedIn posts about disrupting traditional industries. The kind of smile that would get you laughed out of any real steel mill from here to Gary, Indiana. That week, my calendar exploded with meeting requests. Half of them had titles like Reimagining Steel Pipeline Synergy and Innovation Jam Session. Industry 4.0 Transformation. I thought someone was pranking me until Victoria sent a Slack message asking if I could align my operational narrative with the quarterly innovation vibe. I responded with a screenshot of our actual production dashboard, efficiency metrics, downtime tracking, quality control data. Real numbers that actually meant something. She replied with a thumbs up emoji and a fire symbol. 3 days later, Adrian Brooks, my operations manager and right hand for 8 years, was transitioned to a consulting role to focus on external opportunities. That was corporate speak for "you're fired," but we're pretending it's your choice. 2 days after that, Ryan Miller from Data Analytics was reallocated for talent optimization initiatives. By the end of the first week, I was the only person left from the original Steel leadership team who didn't speak exclusively in pitch deck buzzwords or wear designer sneakers to foundry floor meetings. Victoria started reshuffling departments like it was fantasy football draft day. She brought in her sorority sister Hannah Kane as head of talent culture and workplace transformation, a girl whose primary qualification was hosting a podcast called Grindology, where she interviewed other people who also hosted podcasts about grinding. The episodes were exactly as useful as they sound. That was followed by a parade of consultants who looked like they'd never set foot in an actual steel facility. Brand managers who brought ring lights to quarterly reviews. Strategy interns who said let's circle back on that instead of answering direct questions about production capacity. One guy named Wesley Ford who literally called himself a thought architect and spent $15,000 of our consulting budget explaining how our steelmaking processes needed more creative disruption energy. I tried to make it work. God help me, I really tried. I smiled through meetings where grown adults drew emojis on whiteboards. I rewrote production reports using language that wouldn't give me a migraine. I sat through Victoria's mindshare briefings, even when they involved discussing how we could gamify quality control metrics and leverage social media influencers to improve employee engagement on the factory floor. The whole thing felt like watching someone try to reinvent the wheel using only inspiration quotes and energy drinks. This was Pittsburgh Steel we were talking about, minus an industry that built America's backbone, not some Silicon Valley startup selling artisanal subscription boxes. I had one job during all this chaos: keep the production lines running, protect the systems we'd spent over a decade building and refining, and make sure our delivery schedules didn't collapse under the weight of all this innovation theater. Do what guys like me have always done in corporate America: hold the line while the MBAs play dress-up CEO. Then came the big opportunity, that General Motors contract. GM needed a precision steel parts supplier for their electric vehicle production line. This was exactly the kind of high-volume, high-precision work we'd been positioning ourselves for over the past 5 years, the kind of contract that separates real steel companies from the pretenders. I had worked on the strategy proposal for 2 months straight, nights, weekends. Hell, I outlined half of it on a flight to Detroit using cocktail napkins because my laptop died and the airline's Wi-Fi was about as reliable as Victoria's understanding of actual steel production. The contract requirements were complex. Multi-tier quality certifications, just-in-time delivery schedules, integration with their supply chain management systems. It required real industry knowledge, actual experience with automotive steel standards, and the kind of operational expertise you don't get from case studies or TED Talks about disrupting traditional manufacturing. I briefed Victoria thoroughly, prepared her with a comprehensive overview document, walked her through 3 practice presentations, even created simplified talking points for the technical questions. She nodded along and asked if we could make the PowerPoint slides more visually dynamic and whether our company logo could be bigger. She walked into that GM pitch meeting like she was auditioning for Shark Tank, gesturing wildly and throwing around phrases like agility-first steel verticals and cross-pollinated production deliverables. I physically cringed watching her explain our synergistic approach to automotive component optimization, while the GM engineers exchanged glances that clearly said, "What is this person talking about?" The GM team was old-school Detroit automotive. These were guys who understood steel the way Spencer's generation did, as something you measure in tensile strength and heat tolerance, not market disruption potential. They wanted to know about our furnace capacity, our quality control processes, our delivery reliability, real operational details. Somehow, by sheer force of market timing and the fact that my actual operational data spoke louder than her corporate word salad, we landed the contract. Our production capabilities were exactly what they needed. Our quality metrics were solid, and our delivery track record was spotless. The GM engineers could see through the buzzwords to the actual competence underneath, but Victoria had convinced herself she'd won it with her presentation skills. The next morning, I opened my email to find a company-wide announcement from Victoria with the subject line Q3 Victory Lap. First sentence. Proud to share the success of my strategic automotive sector pivot and innovative client acquisition methodology. My name wasn't mentioned once in that email. Not once. 18 years of building relationships, developing expertise, and delivering results. And I'd been erased from my own success story by a 28-year-old who couldn't tell the difference between a steel-grade specification and a talking point. I stared at that email for a long time. Long enough for my coffee to get cold. Long enough for the production floor shift change to happen outside my office window. Long enough for my hands to stop shaking from pure frustration. But I didn't reply. Didn't fire back with a correction. Didn't even leak it to the internal Slack channels like part of me wanted to, because that clause was still sitting in my personnel file, buried in a folder I hadn't opened in years, a clause that didn't care about Harvard degrees or nepotism or who had the best shoe budget. I printed out that email, folded it neatly, and put it in my desk drawer right next to the original hiring agreement. Then I went back to work, running the numbers, checking the production schedules, making sure we'd hit every single metric we'd promised GM. Because when you're building a trap, patience isn't just a virtue, it's the foundation. And I'd learned patience the hard way in places where impatience could get you and your unit killed. It was late Thursday night. The kind of late where the janitor's music becomes your only company and even the coffee maker sounds lonely. I was the last one in the building again, my screen glowing with quarterly numbers fresh off Mason's final calculations. The production efficiency line blinked back at me like it knew something. 195% over target. We hadn't just hit our goals. We'd obliterated them, buried them in the parking lot, and built a monument on top. Every projection, every stretch target, every optimistic estimate from marketing minus completely destroyed. The GM contract wasn't just signed, it was expanding. They wanted us to handle components for 3 additional vehicle lines, with preliminary discussions about a $12 million annual partnership. My hands hovered over the keyboard, not from fatigue, but from memory. 18 years ago, I'd signed my steel operations agreement in this same office. Back when Spencer still walked the production floor every morning, still knew the names of our furnace operators, still cared about building things that lasted instead of just quarterly stock price bumps. That contract was drafted during a different era, before the consultants, before the buzzword evangelists, before the company decided that culture could be purchased with kombucha on tap and meditation pods. I opened my personal files, buried under years of NDAs and performance reviews. Found it, the original hiring agreement, page 14, subsection C, footnote 2. I'd read it carefully back then because the Marines taught me to read every word of anything I was signing. Most people skip the appendices, think they're just standard legal boilerplate, but this wasn't boilerplate. If quarterly production efficiency metrics for steel operations exceed 175% of forecast under the direct operational leadership of Lucas Thompson, he shall be granted immediate and temporary strategic override privileges, including but not limited to voting presence in executive-level decisions pending board ratification. Signed by Spencer Walsh, dated. Witnessed, filed with HR under reference number STL 2006-47. Still valid, still enforceable. I leaned back in my chair and stared at those words. The clause had been written back when hitting 175% seemed about as likely as discovering oil under the employee parking lot. It was supposed to be a motivational carrot, something generous sounding with zero risk, legal decoration for a steel director. They never expected anyone to actually deliver those kinds of numbers. But we just hit 195%. And Victoria Walsh was about to learn what happens when you underestimate someone who spent 18 years turning theoretical targets into actual results. I printed the page on premium paper. Something about the weight made it feel more ceremonial. I highlighted the clause in thick yellow marker, then copied it again just to be thorough. Placed it in a folder with our Q3 performance report clipped behind it. Every number verified and cross-checked. The next morning I made 3 phone calls. First, to Sarah Collins in legal, one of the few people in that department who'd survived Victoria's organizational optimization. Her voice dropped to a whisper when I read the clause aloud. "That's still active?" she asked, sounding like someone who just realized they'd been sitting on a live grenade.
Yep.
And our efficiency metrics hit 195.3%. Long pause, then a low whistle. "Lucas, you're going to need a much bigger office." Second call went to our former compliance director, semi-retired and fishing somewhere in Montana. He remembered drafting the clause, laughed for a solid 30 seconds before saying, "Son, I hope you kept all the receipts for this one." Third call, I didn't make one. I sat with it. Let the silence sink in. This wasn't about rushing. This was about timing. Move too fast and it looks personal, vindictive. But let Victoria climb just a little higher. Let her plan one more condescending all-hands meeting, and the fall would have real impact. That folder stayed on my desk like a loaded weapon for exactly 3 days. Then came Monday morning's bonus announcement, and Victoria handed me the perfect moment on a silver platter. After her performance should be baseline speech, I'd asked her to meet me in the conference room. Now we were face-to-face across that polished table, and Victoria was already starting to fidget. She'd brought her laptop but hadn't opened it yet, probably expecting some kind of employee relations conversation about team morale. "So," she said, leaning back in her chair with that practiced casual confidence. "I get that people are disappointed about the bonus situation, but we need to focus on sustainable motivation models rather than Victoria." I interrupted quietly. "Can you pull up the org chart for steel operations?" She blinked, confused by the change in direction. "I mean, sure, but I don't see how that's relevant to humor me." She clicked around for a minute, clearly not sure where to find it. Finally got a PowerPoint slide up showing the department structure with her name at the top and mine somewhere in the middle tier. "Okay, here's the current leadership framework. As you can see, we've optimized the hierarchy for, now pull up our Q3 performance metrics." More clicking. She found Mason's summary report, the one showing our ND 995% efficiency gain. Right, and these are obviously great numbers, which is exactly why we're raising expectations instead of just throwing money at Victoria. I slid the folder across the table. "Open it." She looked at the folder like it might contain her performance review, which in a way it did. Flipped it open to the highlighted contract page, started reading, her confident expression slowly melting like ice cream in July. "I don't understand what I'm looking at here," she said, but her voice had lost that cocky edge. "That's my original hiring agreement. Subsection C, footnote 2. The highlighted part gives me strategic override authority when production efficiency exceeds 175% of forecast. We hit 195%. Spencer's signature is right there at the bottom. Victoria stared at the page like she was trying to read hieroglyphics. Her Harvard MBA hadn't covered this particular scenario in any of their case studies about disrupting traditional industries. But this is just some old contract language, legal boilerplate. Nobody actually enforces. It's not boilerplate. It's a performance trigger clause, and it just got activated. I pulled out my phone. I've already confirmed its validity with legal. Sarah's preparing the formal documentation as we speak. Her face had gone from confident to pale to something approaching panic. The same look you see on people's faces when they realize their credit card got declined at an expensive restaurant. Look, Lucas, I think there might be some misunderstanding here about chain of command and organizational structure. Modern management doesn't really operate on these kinds of legacy contracts. Uncle Spencer would never modern management, I said. Closing the folder, should probably read contracts before canceling bonuses for record-breaking performance. That's when I saw it, the exact moment when Victoria realized she wasn't the smartest person in the room. Maybe never had been. Her carefully constructed authority was built on quicksand, and the tide was coming in fast. I stood up and walked to the conference room door. Spencer's joining us via video in 10 minutes. The department heads will be here too. I suggest you use that time to think about whether you want to handle this transition professionally. I left her sitting there with the folder, probably calculating how fast she could call Uncle Spencer for backup. But Spencer Walsh didn't get where he was by backing down from his own signature. And Victoria was about to learn that when you're standing on someone else's foundation, they always hold the blueprints. 10 minutes later, the conference room filled with the quiet tension of a courtroom before a verdict. Department heads trickled in, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Ashley from marketing sat down carefully, eyes darting between Victoria and me. Mason clutched his laptop like a shield. Garrett from IT actually showed up early, which told me word was already spreading through the building. On the main screen, Spencer Walsh's face appeared in that familiar corner tile. Still thin from his health issues, still using the oxygen tank, but his eyes were sharp as ever, the kind of sharp that built this company from 12 employees in a rented warehouse to 500 people across 3 facilities. Victoria straightened in her chair, probably expecting Uncle Spencer to straighten this whole mess out with a few words about family loyalty and chain of command. Maybe remind everyone who was really in charge here. "Morning, everyone," Spencer said, his voice carrying that gravelly authority that came from 30 years of making decisions that actually mattered. His eyes swept the room, pausing on Victoria before settling on me. "Lucas, I understand you have something important to discuss." I didn't waste time with pleasantries. Clicked the remote and brought up our Q3 performance slide. 195% efficiency improvement over forecast. $3.5 million in verified savings. GM contract signed and expanding to 3 additional product lines. Spencer nodded slowly. He'd seen these numbers already, but this wasn't about the numbers. This was about what came next. Additionally, I continued, I'd like to reference subsection C, footnote 2 of my 2006 steel operations agreement. I clicked to the next slide. The scanned contract page, highlighted clause clearly visible. Performance threshold met. Strategic override authority, now active. The room went dead silent. Victoria's face had gone from confident to confused to something approaching terror as she realized this wasn't going to be the family intervention she'd expected. Spencer stared at the screen for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but carried the weight of someone who'd just watched his own signature come back to haunt his family. I remember that clause. I insisted on it myself. Victoria finally found her voice. "Uncle Spencer, this is just some outdated contract language." "We can't seriously be considering," Victoria, Spencer interrupted, and the single word carried 30 years of disappointment. "Stop talking." The silence stretched until it became uncomfortable. Spencer's eyes moved from the contract to Victoria, then back to me. You could see him weighing family loyalty against business integrity, probably remembering every conversation he'd had with his board about succession planning. "Lucas, what are you requesting?" "Full operational authority for Q4. Personnel restoration, budget oversight. Strategic planning. No interference, no committee reviews." I slid a folder across the table toward the camera. "Sarah in legal has the formal documentation ready for your signature." Victoria tried one more time, her voice cracking slightly. This is obviously some kind of power grab using legal technicalities. Modern corporations don't operate on these kinds of legacy contracts. The board will never. Victoria, Spencer's voice cut through the room like a blade. "You're done. Pack your office. Security will escort you out in 20 minutes. The words hung in the air like smoke. Victoria opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. For once in her life, she had nothing to say. No buzzwords, no case studies, no thought leadership frameworks. Just the reality that nepotism only works when the family member with actual power is on your side. She stood up slowly, gathered her designer notebook, and imported water bottle, and walked out. No dramatic exit, no threats about lawsuits or family consequences. Just the quiet shuffle of someone who'd finally realized she was never actually qualified for the job in the first place. Spencer turned his attention back to me. The board's prepared to offer you interim executive authority, reporting directly to... No, I said gently. I appreciate the offer, but I don't need a title to do the job. I just need the authority to fix what got broken. He smiled for the first time in months. Approved. As the video call ended and the department heads filed out, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months, the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. Not the artificial high of hitting arbitrary metrics, but the deeper contentment that comes from protecting something you've spent years building. That afternoon, I sent 2 text messages, first to Adrian Brooks, "Come back, your desk is waiting." Second to Ryan Miller, "Operations needs its data guy. Are you interested?" Both responded within 10 minutes. Adrian's reply was just a thumbs-up emoji. Ryan wrote back, "On my way." They walked through the lobby the next morning, like soldiers returning from exile. No fanfare, no welcome back party, just rolled up sleeves and the quiet satisfaction of competent people getting back to real work. The transformation was immediate. Within a week, Hannah Kane quietly submitted her resignation, probably realizing her podcast wasn't going to survive without Victoria's protection. Wesley Ford, the thought architect, simply stopped showing up. His $15,000 consulting contract was terminated for non-performance, and our legal team was surprisingly efficient about getting our money back. The production floor settled back into its natural rhythm. Efficiency metrics that had been artificially inflated by desperate overwork returned to sustainable levels, still impressive, but achievable long-term. The GM contract expansion moved forward on schedule, with actual steel professionals handling the technical discussions instead of MBA graduates armed with buzzwords. Most importantly, the people who'd built this company's reputation over decades were back where they belonged. Adrian resumed training new analysts in quality control processes that actually worked. Ryan restored our data systems to track meaningful metrics instead of vanity numbers designed to impress investors. 3 weeks later, Spencer's name lit up my phone screen at 6:15 a.m. "Lucas, I need you to look at something." An hour later, I was back in the conference room with a merger proposal from Jordan Stevens, CEO of Atlantic Steel Solutions. East Coast company, bigger than us in automation technology, smaller in production capacity. Perfect synergy if handled right. Jordan joined via video. All business and no nonsense. The kind of executive who'd probably worked his way up from the factory floor like Spencer had. "We've been watching your Q3 performance. Impressive doesn't begin to cover it. We'd like to discuss integration, but we have one non-negotiable requirement: full operational oversight from Lucas's team. No outside management, no transition committees, no consultants, just the people who actually delivered those results." Spencer looked at me through the screen. "Your call, Lucas." I thought about the past 6 months, Victoria's chaos, the consultant parade, watching good people get pushed out for buzzword compliance. Then I thought about the production floor humming at 98% efficiency, the GM contract expanding, and Adrian training new analysts who actually understood what operational excellence meant. "Let's do it," I said. The paperwork was signed within 2 weeks. No drama, no restructuring announcements, just 2 companies that knew how to build things, combining their strengths. The merger brought Atlantic's advanced automation technology to our proven production systems, creating something stronger than either company could achieve alone. 6 months later, I got a LinkedIn notification. Victoria Walsh had started her own disruptive consulting firm called Innovation Catalyst Solutions. Her company page had 47 followers and 1 case study about leveraging synergistic paradigm shifts in traditional manufacturing environments. The irony wasn't lost on me. I smiled, closed the laptop, and walked out to the production floor. The furnaces hummed steady at 97% efficiency. Our Q4 numbers were tracking 22% ahead of the combined projections. Adrian was training 3 new operations analysts who actually knew the difference between productivity and performance theater. The GM partnership had expanded into a 5-year strategic alliance worth $18 million annually, with preliminary discussions about electric vehicle battery housing components. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. It's not about explosions or public humiliation or viral LinkedIn posts. Sometimes the best revenge is just being right, being competent, and watching incompetence burn itself out while you quietly build something that actually works. Victoria learned to speak in buzzwords, but I learned to speak in results. And in the end, results always win. They just take a little longer to get there. The clause was never removed from my contract. Spencer insisted on keeping it, even updating the language to cover the merged operations. Insurance policy, he called it, in case anyone else gets confused about who actually runs the steel operations around here. Fair enough. Some foundations are worth protecting, especially when they're built on 18 years of doing the work right the first time. In Pittsburgh steel country, we have a saying: machinery breaks, markets crash, but competence endures. Victoria thought she could disrupt an industry built on molten metal and human grit. Turns out, some things are too solid to innovate away. I'd spent 18 years learning that the most dangerous contracts aren't the ones you sign in boardrooms with lawyers present. They're the ones you make with yourself about what you'll tolerate and what you won't. Victoria crossed that line the day she canceled bonuses for record performance. The real lesson wasn't about hidden clauses or corporate revenge. It was about patience and preparation meeting opportunity. Victoria handed me the perfect moment, but I'd been building the trap for months without even knowing it. You can MBA your way through a lot of problems in modern business, but you can't MBA your way out of a binding contract signed by the guy who built the company. Some signatures carry more weight than others, and Spencer Walsh's was forged in the same furnaces that built this city. At 55, I'd learned the difference between being right and being smart. Being right feels good for about 10 minutes, but being smart keeps the lights on and the paychecks coming. Sometimes, though, if you're patient enough, you get to be both.